Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here are some of the top stories we've been following today.
With talk of separation still swirling, Alberta's UCP government has launched a website it hopes will clear up any confusion. With no ceasefire negotiations on the horizon, U.S. President Donald Trump issues a shoot-to-kill order in the Strait of Hormuz. And basketball fans will be happy to hear professional b-ball is coming to town in June. We'll have details.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Jeanette Roche.
Thanks for joining us. Alberta's UCP government is gearing up for a fall referendum on the future direction of the province, and to get the message out, it has unveiled a new website, albertareferendum2026.ca. Repeating her desires for a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada, Premier Danielle Smith says the website will lay out the 9 questions, 5 involving provincial immigration policy, with the other 4 proposing ways the province could work with other like-minded provinces to advance targeted constitutional changes.
We're going to be advocating for these positions. I mean, they are government-sponsored questions. So I'm not going to just be a bystander in this. We're going to be out actively persuading the public that this is the direction we want to go. But we want an endorsement from them. And so I think people need to understand exactly what it is we're asking, and they'll give us direction. But I'm pretty confident from the consultation that we did that there's a high level of support for these. But again, you only get a small number of people who participate in surveys, a small number who participate in polls, a small number that participate in the in-person meetings. Sometimes you just need to have a broader mandate, and that's why we're doing it. But I'm anticipating that we will get an endorsement, and then we'll be able to move forward on it. If we don't, then we'll address it at that time.
Smith says right now, none of the citizen-led petitions are a part of the referendum, but that could change. Singer Corb Lund's anti-coal mining petition is still gathering signatures, and a separation petition submitted by the group Stay Free Alberta is still before the courts. Smith says a decision in that case is expected sometime in May. Also Thursday, Danielle Smith's government has introduced a legislation that would see the province abandon clock changes and remain on daylight saving time year-round. Dale Nelly, the Minister for Service Alberta, tabled the bill saying the province would be on, quote, Alberta time.
If ever there was an example of paralysis by analysis, it was time change. And so we did this in 1971, we consulted again in 1983, we did in 2017, and we did again in 2021. So I have to tell you, we're now done talking about it, and we're taking action. We've seen Saskatchewan do it, BC's done it, Northwest Territories has said they're looking at doing it. We'd be an outlier. And so we are moving forward with getting rid of ending time change, and we're going to align ourselves essentially with the exception of Manitoba, with the rest of Western Canada.
If the bill passes, Albertans wouldn't turn their clocks back by an hour as scheduled on November the 1st. And there was some discussion on that very topic locally today. The Southern Alberta Council on Public Affairs posed the question, is permanent daylight saving time right for Alberta? A noontime crowd gathered to hear the perspectives of a professor of neuroscience.
Alberta has been following the wrong clock for over 100 years. We're supposed to be in the Pacific time zone. With the summertime year-round, then the sunrises would be incredibly late in the wintertime, and this makes people really tired going to school, driving to work in the morning. And so people talk about driving in the dark, but it's not so much that. It's driving while tired that leads to the problem. You're going to have this acute misalignment from what your body clock wants to do, it's following the sun, and what your boss or your teacher wants you to do. And we call that social jet lag. It's when there's a mismatch between what your body's body time and your social time. If we can align those by going with the natural standard time, you'll actually find people who are healthier, better in school, and better on the job.
Do have a little trouble adjusting when they change the time, so I would prefer to be on one time. However, I'm not an early riser, so I kind of like the idea of daylight savings times because it'll extend the daylight in the evening. I'm okay with the change. So the extended daylight hours, especially in the summer when the weather's nice, is really nice. We like staying out in the yard late, doing gardening and using the patio and the barbecues. So from that perspective, it'll be good.
Prime Minister Mark Carney was in his home riding of Nepean, Ontario on Thursday to make a housing announcement. Carney says his new federal housing agency has approved 8 new local housing projects there. He says Build Canada Homes will fast-track the project so they can start building in the next few months, leading to more than 1,000 rental homes in the city as a result.
Build Canada Homes has already committed to more than 10,000 new units through 13 partnerships across Canada, with over 1,400 homes already under construction or breaking ground in the next 2 months. That means new affordable homes in Ottawa, Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Gatineau, and Halifax. And to build on this momentum and to further lower the costs of building affordable homes, Canada's new government tabled legislation to unlock $1.7 billion in federal funding for the provinces and territories. Through the Build Communities Strong Fund, we're investing billions to build housing-enabling infrastructure and reduce municipal development charges that the buyers of new homes ultimately pay.
Carney says a deal signed last month with the province of Ontario could eventually bring down the cost of building a single-family home by about $28,000. But Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has a different perspective. Speaking to reporters in Ottawa, Poilievre says Carney is regurgitating old news.
Today, Carney was again spreading housing illusions, re-announcing an announcement he made back in December for projects that have still not got underway. All he has built is a new housing bureaucracy, a new agency in Ottawa to sop up tax dollars and block home building. More illusions. A year after Mark Carney promised to build at speeds not seen in generations, his promised pipeline to the Pacific has no permit, no route, no investor, no builder, no start date, no end date, and no oil to put in it. In fact, the only company that says they could potentially build that pipeline, Enbridge, says there won't be enough oil because the Liberal industrial carbon tax will prevent it from ever being produced.
And Poilievre says in the past week there have been mixed messages from the Prime Minister on trade with the U.S. On one hand, calling it a weakness that we trade with the U.S., while on the other hand, saying we need to work together. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered the U.S. military to shoot and kill Iranian small boats choking the Strait of Hormuz. Trump made the announcement in a social media post Thursday as he said the U.S. military is intensifying its mine-clearing efforts in the critical waterway. We get more on this from John Gambrell with the Associated Press.
Trump's threat comes as U.S. forces also seized a second oil tanker associated with Iran's oil trade out in the Indian Ocean between Sri Lanka and Indonesia. Now, this ship had been previously sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury over being part of what's known as the Iranian Shadow Fleet, which is bringing that sanctioned crude oil out of Iran and into Asian markets, particularly into China. Iran has not responded to either Trump's threat or this latest seizure, but Iran has insisted that it will maintain the closure on the Strait of Hormuz. Now, all this is coming as ceasefire negotiations between the United States and Iran were supposed to happen this week but failed to materialize. Iran insists that it will not attend any ceasefire talks until the United States ends its blockade on Iranian ports targeting Iranian ships. And for its part, America insists that it will not attend any peace talks until Iran opens up the Strait of Hormuz to international traffic. So all this together, it really has drawn questions about whether we'll see any negotiators back at the table anytime soon in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. But as these attacks at sea continue, that's really put this ceasefire under new strains and drawn question into whether or not we could see a return to active combat.
In a separate social media post on Thursday, Trump claimed a leadership rift between moderates and hardliners was confounding Iran, making it difficult for them to come up with a unified peace proposal. A change to Canada's citizenship laws has more and more Americans looking to move north of the border. That's because Bill C-3, which took effect in December, removed the first-generation limit to citizenship. So now people born or adopted abroad to a Canadian parent prior to December 15th of last year are eligible. They only have to prove the parent spent at least 3 years in Canada before the birth or adoption. Military veteran Zach Loud is one of those Americans who is ready to make the move.
But you can prove the whole line of, like, there's my mom, there's her mom, this is her mom, this is my grandmother, she's Canadian, and by all the legal changes, so am I. It was in February, and we were kind of looking at things post-ICE, my wife and I, which was stressful. We were kind of looking around. We didn't have a job yet for next year. About the same time, my brother posted on this family WhatsApp group that, hey, we are actually Canadian citizens.
Should we grab Daddy's whistle?
I mean, I've been in a combat zone. I've experienced what that's like. I've been in a bunker that while you're getting attacked, and yet I felt safer there than at moments I felt watching my own government be now the aggressor against its own citizens here. And it's like, that's a very different experience.
I can't say I'm proud to be an American right now, and that's sad to me.
Oh, yeah.
I want my daughters to be able to have a secure, healthy environment. I want them in a world that's safe and that's hopeful.
Yeah, we're ready. That's the packet. Ready to go. Today's the day, and I'm the last one in my family to do it. Everyone else is waiting in the line, and we'll get up there, enter the queue, and see. In a year, maybe at that point we'll be officially recognized. I think you do kind of wake up to the reality of, like, there is a huge opportunity here that is just like, wow, that's really amazing. What do you think?
Same. I love the reassurance, have another option.
Yeah. What's more American than chasing freedom?
One Vancouver immigration lawyer says his practice has gone from about 200 citizenship cases a year to more than 20 consults a day. The Southern Alberta Ethnic Association is celebrating a decade at its Multicultural Centre. The building once served as a historic fire station and has since been transformed into a vibrant multicultural hub. With a free, family-friendly celebration this Saturday, the event will feature cultural performances, interactive activities, and a look back at its long-standing role in promoting diversity and multicultural connections across Southern Alberta.
So it means a lot. It is special. 10 years is a big time. It is important that we celebrate the work that we have done together with our members, our community partners, and stakeholders. Our community has been benefited by the role that we have been playing from the Multicultural Centre in the past. This place has proved to be a cornerstone for community engagement and cultural celebrations.
The event will be held on Saturday, April 25th from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. at the Multicultural Centre, and it is free for the whole family. Good to know. It was 111 years ago when Alberta embarked on a social experiment, turning off the taps on alcohol. And now the historical event is being examined at the Galt Museum and Archives' latest exhibit through Dried Out Prohibition in Alberta. Developed and circulated by the Provincial Archives of Alberta, the exhibit brings to life documents and artifacts. Galt Museum curator Tyler Stewart says there are historical parallels between what happened 100 plus years ago to what we are seeing today.
During Prohibition, Alberta implemented a new police force, the Alberta Provincial Police, which were mainly created to help enforce the laws of Prohibition. And now 100 years later, we have a new provincial police force in Alberta as well with the Alberta Sheriff Police Service. Another thing that's interesting in this exhibition that kind of like connects to what's happening today is that one of the reasons that Prohibition was implemented is because of what was called the Direct Legislation Act. So it allowed ordinary citizens of the province of Alberta to introduce a petition to create new legislation. So that's something we've seen a lot of here in Alberta in the last few months, is specific petitions, referendum, those kind of things. Another reason why we hosted this exhibition was to connect with our other special exhibit, A Smile in Every Bottle. So our focus this summer at the Galt Museum is a little bit of the history of booze, both locally and across the entire province as well. So I think it'll be something that will really connect with local residents, but as well as tourists coming through town over the summer months.
To celebrate the launch of these two new exhibits, the museum is hosting a celebration featuring 3 regional breweries, pouring beer on tap, a free hot dog barbecue, plus games and activities. That takes place Friday, May 1st from 3 till 8 p.m. Professional basketball will be returning to Lethbridge for one night this summer. The Canadian Elite Basketball League will host their 3rd ever neutral site game in their 8-year history, as the Calgary Surge and the Montreal Alliance will play a regular season matchup on June 20th at the visitlethbridge.com arena. In an announcement on Thursday, the Surge announced another neutral site game to be played in Red Deer, as well as a game at the Saddle Dome during the Stampede. Surge representatives say the decision to expand neutral site games throughout Alberta is a testament to the game's continued growth in the province.
This is the culmination of a lot of work that's been done in the region and a lot of connections that we've had to the local community here in Lethbridge. It's no small feat that the head coach of the Lethbridge Pronghorns has been an assistant on our bench and will be an assistant again this year. When we decided to do camps within the region, Lethbridge was one of the first places that we came a year ago. And during that process, we started to engage with the local basketball community, the arts community, political figures, and others who just said, we feel like this is going to be a welcoming host city for this product, and I'm so grateful that we're able to make good on that promise that we would expand throughout the region and bring a game to Lethbridge. We're super excited, especially given that it's been 44 years since the Dusters days that we've had pro basketball in the Windy City.
What it does for the youth is it gives them a goal. They'll see where there was college here previously, a college game or a pro basketball game. It gives them drive, gives them determination, a goal to look forward to. So I can't wait to see what the organization does within our schools here in Lethbridge, and the invitations to bring out those kids. So it gives them that next drive.
For us, being able to bring that high level of basketball, the same quality to the fans in the more localized areas in the province is kind of part of our mission. We want to grow the game across the country, provincially, and then obviously again locally.
Tickets are already on sale for all 3 games, and the regular season for the Surge begins on May the 12th.
Regulatory reform is the talk of Ottawa right now, but for Canadian agriculture, the question is whether the urgency is translating into actual results. Earlier this month, the PMRA was rebranded as the Pesticides Regulatory Directorate, or the PRD. But according to CropLife Canada's CEO Pierre Patel, a name change is just administrative mechanics. What the sector needs is a total shift in mindset. While the recent House of Commons report offered 26 recommendations to cut red tape, Pierre Patel says the federal response lacked ambition, essentially claiming the government already has the authority it needs. That disconnect is a major concern. Canada currently ranks 32nd out of 38 OECD countries in regulatory burden. That's ridiculous. Years of adding layers of oversight have created a system that Patel argues limits innovation and scares off investment. As we head into the 2026 growing season, the wait and see approach isn't enough anymore. Producers need a regulatory system that aligns with economic growth, not one that treats every new tool like a liability. It's time for the pace in Ottawa to finally match the ambition of the Canadian Farm Gate. For Bridge City News, I'm Sean Haney with Real Agriculture.
A major mega merger of Warner Brothers and Paramount has received shareholder approval. The deal, worth $81 billion US, was overwhelmingly approved by Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders today. Skydance-owned Paramount wants to buy all of Warner, including HBO, Max titles like Harry Potter and CNN. The deal still faces ongoing regulatory reviews, including from the U.S. Department of Justice. After a long day at work, music can help re-energize and uplift one's soul, that is. And in Toronto's underground subway system, musicians like Leo Zhang and Benji Crane see busking as an opportunity to brighten someone's day.
I keep auditioning because I always want new challenges, whereas every time I come back, I prepare a different repertoire. Every day different station is a different vibe completely. When I increase my repertoire, I see how people react. Usually when I prepare my concert, when I play here, it's a scene from the past to the future.
You do feel a sense of fulfillment knowing that if you made enough of an impact on someone's day that they either stop to say something or like go out of their way to give you a little bit of money. So that speaks volume to how everyone reacts differently to the music. The children are always nice. They kind of walk by with their parents and then they force them to stop and have a look. You meet folks, coming to and from work. The occasional high school student that wants to stop by and say hello. I definitely feel like I've improved as a performer and as an artist. Like mentally, it takes a lot of strength sometimes to keep your head up when things are slow and people are just walking by and you feel like no one's listening. But you just got to remember to find why you're doing it for yourself first, and that kind of hardens you over time. Just knowing that the world will not be cursed or forgiven when I walk along some railroad track.
Well, what a great way to bring some happiness and light to a place that can sometimes be dark and depressing. And with that, here is a look at today's markets.
The TSX was down 42 to 33,912. The Dow was down 179 to 49,310. The S&P 500 was down 29 to 7,180, and the Nasdaq was down 219 to 24,438. West Texas Intermediate Oil was up $3.98 to $96.94 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 13 cents to $2.59 US. Gold was down $58.80 to $46.80 US an ounce, and silver was down $2.27 to $75.40 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $8.44 per bushel. Barley is at $6.86. Canola is at $16.48, and corn is at $7.67 per bushel. Live cattle were up 22 cents to $247.07. Feeder cattle were down 17 cents to $366.62, and lean hogs May contract was up 60 cents to $95.65. The Canadian dollar was down over the past 24 hours and sits at 73 cents US.
Recapping one of our top stories, the Alberta government has launched a new website aimed at educating voters on ballot questions ahead of an October referendum. In February, Premier Danielle Smith announced 9 questions that will be put to Albertans in the fall, including several propositions that could limit provincial social services to immigrants. She says this new website, albertareferendum2026.ca, will help Albertans get the facts they need to make an informed decision at the ballot box. Hey, did you know that Alberta is home to 6 of the world's UNESCO heritage sites and that 4 of them are only a short drive from Lethbridge? There is so much to see and do in southern Alberta, and Aaron Crane, who is the CEO of Tourism Lethbridge, will join us to chat about what makes our beautiful province so worthwhile to come and visit. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or our YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our content and our poll questions.